Так, сейчас запущу демонстрацию экрана. Так, so, dear students, welcome to our first lecture about the organoleptic analysis methods. And firstly, we are going to discuss with you about the sense of the sight. Here, the question and answers at the end of our lecture, first lecture, we are going to answer some questions. So as you know, what is it, the sensory analysis? So sensory analysis is a scientific discipline used to evoke, measure, analyze, and interpret reactions to the characteristics of the food and materials as they are perceived by the sense of the sight, smell, taste, touch, and the hearing. Here on this picture, you can see how it is work. So firstly, we are going to see, then we are going to touch, then we are going to smell, taste, and the hearing. So organoleptic analysis methods is based on the use of the information obtained as a result of the analysis of sensation and perceptions with the help of the human senses. It's a vision using our eyes, smells using our nasal system, hearing using our ears, and the touch using our skin, taste using our oral cavity. So this method does not include the use of certain technical means. It doesn't mean that when we are making the sensory analysis, we doesn't need to use some extra tools. We just can use the magnifying glass, microscope, with a volume amplifier, and etc. So the main and the first advantages of the organoleptic methods, it's just simple and used is always used firstly, eliminates the need to use the measurement methods as more expensive, requires the little time. The method is indispensable for the evaluating such quality indicators as smell and taste. Usually the organoleptic method is used to assess the characteristics of the food product, the smell of the perfume, for example, the sound quality of the music, musicianal instruments, and the texture of some surface or the textile materials, the softness of the hair product, and etc. So a variety of the organoleptic analysis methods are sensory and the tasting analysis. So sensory, from the Latin languages sensus, it doesn't mean the perception, feeling, the sensation. So analysis is used to assess the quality of the food. As a result of the sensory analysis can be the color, taste, smell, and the consistency of the food products are determined, and the sensory analysis accumulates all the sensation from the consumer's consumptions of the product. So testing analysis involves tasting of food products as part of the special commission of expert tasters. The results of the tasting depend on the type of products being tasted. The experts' qualification compliance with the tasting condition and the methods of the processing the tasting results used. So firstly, the senses. So for example, the sensory properties of food are realized in three major attributes. For example, is the appearance, the color, size, and shape. Flavor, for example, is the odor, taste, and the texture, for example, the feel, the viscosity, and the hearing. So attributes are expressed as a continuum and not as a finite properties. It is impossible to rate each one individually unless special precautions are taken. So, for example, nose clips, colored lights, puries, and for example, the humans possessed about the 30 different senses, and however the sensory properties of food are perceived through the sense of the sight, smell, taste, and the hearing and the touch. So what is it, the stimulus? So stimulus is a chemical and physical activator that causes a response in the receptors. For example, the eye is a receptor of our light. The earrings is a receptor of sound, and an effective stimulus produce a sensation, the dimensions of which there, for example, intensity is a strength, extent is a separation, duration is a retention, and so on, like this. So receptors are the stimuli detected cells of the sense organ. For example, taste buds are located in our tongue. The light receptors is the retina of the eye. So perception is a physiological interpretation of sensations determining by comparison with the past expensive with the past expressions, and the sour taste of lemons in the perception of the sensation received by the recipient by our taste buds and from the chemical stimulus, and we can say it is a citric acid. The sense of the sight, the appearance of the food. So stimuli is the visible light. So receptors is the retina of our eye, and the perception is the sight, vision, and the appearance. Here on this slide, you can see interrelation of organoleptic methods and quality indicators. So here firstly, the visual, the sense of the organ used is our eyes. In the organoleptic quality indicators, we can see the shape, we can see the color, we can see the surface condition, and by the tactile, we are using our skin touch, and we can also determine the consistency, and for example by olfactory organoleptic methods, using our organ of the smell, nasal cavities, we are smelling the aroma, the flavor. About the taste, using our oral cavity, we are getting indicate the taste. And the same for the audio methods, the organ of the hearing, it is our earrings, and we can determine the sound. So in this slide, you can see how our eyes looks like, and in how many parts is divided, and how many components there are. So the main reception of the eye, and how we can determine the light, it is a retina. So vision. Vision is a complex phenomena consisting of several basic components. I'm sorry. So vision is a complex phenomena consisting I'm sorry, we just going to continue. So, and the vision is a complex phenomenon consisting of several basic components: a stimulus, light, from the external source interacts with the object and it's bright to the focus on the retina of the eyes. So retina is a receptor of vision and contains two types of the cells. Firstly, the roots are responsible for vision, and in dim light, and corners are responsible for the color light. Here also you can see the light. The different wavelengths produce different colors. For example, the violet I'm sorry. So we also are going to continue our lecture, and on this slide you can see the different wavelengths produced in different colors. For example, the wavelength of the violet color is a 380 up to 450 nanometers, and etc. For example, the long wavelength have the red color. So at the light source is incandescent light consists of a tungsten filament which is heated in an inert gas. So higher the temperature, the more light produces. So light from this source tends to be harsh and tends to highlight the red end of the spectrum, and the light produced is softer but can produce color distortion at particular wavelengths. So natural lights is too variable for use in evaluating appearance of foods. So the light object interactions, so light incident on an object may be absorbed, reflected, and transmitted and refracted. So the relationship between and within each of these components is responsible for the color and gloss characteristics of the food. So the main light object interaction produced are lightness is a value, color is a hue, and chroma purity and gloss. So physical form, the second class of the product appearance is the physical form that can be subdivided into the three parts: shape, surface texture, and the visual consistency. So shape and size are very important from the food technologicalist point of view. So because this can be altered during the manufacture of processes produced. So some examples include slices, decides, pieces, whole lengths of the frozen French fries, and cut of the vegetables. So surface texture can indicate product texture. Some examples include dry structure of meat, lengths of pears, the violeting of lettuce, and for example, for the visual consistency can be indicate product viscosity. For example, how they looks like the gelée, syrups, or different concentration pastas and purees. So appearance is an important aspect of food quality, as it is the first subjective evaluation made from the food quality. Their product has to pass the visual assessment before the consumer can or will consider the other parameters such taste and texture. So for this first lecture we are ending, and now we are going to answer the questions. For example, the value of the organoleptic acids, the visual evaluation of the methods, tactile assessment methods, the olfactory evaluation methods, and the taste evaluation methods. For the first lecture we have ended, and now we are going to just a minute, please. So we are going to move to our next presentation. Here you can see, for example, the sense of the taste. So the stimuli is the soluble chemicals or chemical which are solubilized during the chewing. Receptors taste bonds in months. Perception taste, for example, perception is a taste or flavor. So the taste receptors for taste can be by the taste buds and are mounted on our pipeline. So the area of the greatest response in the top of the tongue. So others area in the mouth and throat where taste buds are situated include palate, pharynx, links, tonsils, epiglottis, lips, cheeks, underside of the tongue, and the floor of the mouth, the tip of the mouth. So taste buds are mainly located at the tip, sides, rail of the tongue. So this life cycle of the life cycle is about 10 days, and they can be early destroyed by heat. So it means the life cycle of our receptors is only 10 days. On this slide, you can see uh, so you can see our tongue and our mouth, how it is. For example, bitter taste we can determine by top of our tongue. The sour taste we can determine by our sides. The sweet we can determine using our tip of the tongue, and for example, the salty the same, the center and the tip of the tongue. So in this slide, taste stimuli, so taste response requires an aqueous solution of the substances to contact the taste buds. Therefore, for example, saliva secretions are important in terms of ensuring contact between the product and the taste buds. So saliva production is generally stimulated by chewing as well as appearance and odor of the food. The tongue is important as it brings the food into contact with the taste buds and also provides a mixing action uh, which enable even distribution of food about the taste buds as well as preventing the development of the concentration gradients. So the five basic tastes we can determine it's sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami. So about the sourness, so as you know, the simplest taste has H acids. For example, the fruits of the sourness is a lemon, limes, buttermilk, grapefruit, and etc. So sweetness is about the common substances that produce the sweet taste, sweet taste, and the examples of the sweet product is a banana, carrots, corn, honey, vanillas, and etc. And about the saltness examples is anchovies, bacon, caviar, ham, oyster, salami, and sardines. And bitterness bitterness, mainly chemically different compounds have a bitter taste. However, bitterness is mainly associated with alkaloids such as caffeine, nicotine taste, and originally it was thought that the bitterness was an indication of a danger, like a poison. So, however, many alkaloids are used as drugs, for example, codeine and many other bitter substances are harmful. Um, the bitterness is generally perceived at very low concentration, and a relationship appearance to exist between sweet and bitter. So the examples of the sweetness is almond, ginger, dark chocolate, timian, rosemary, and etc. So about the umami, umami was founded by the Japanese Imperial University by the Japanese scientist in 19th century. So uh, the main contained the umami taste contained the glutamate. So as you know, glutamate like a white powder, and examples of the umami taste is a soy sauce, balsamic vinegar, parmesan, cheese, and tomatoes. Here on this slide, you can see the 5 tastes interpretations, and here also the some taste for you to how this is a little taste. Please, I would like ask you to make this to find out the sweetness, the other tastes, the 5 tastes, for example, of these below listed products. So for this third lecture, second lecture we have finished, and now we are going to talk about lecture number 3 about the sense of smell. The last lecture for today's. So just a minute. So the sense of the smell. So on this slide you can see how it is looks. The smell. The second lecture is about the smell, and we are using our nasal cavity. And here about the stimuli. What is it, the stimuli? Stimuli is a volatile chemicals. Receptors is the olfactory cells located in our nose. Perception is the smell, odor, aroma, and the flavor. So smell is one of our most private sense. So suspectedly, prehistoric people were more influenced by smell than other senses. The human nose is capable of detecting the thousands of different odor substances. However, our sensitivity is much less than other animals. Smell is detected both before and during eating. Smell is an important aspect of flavor. The olfactory receptors of the human, we can say that 20 multiplied to 106, but only about the 1000 taste receptors. All the description requires the development of an odor, flavor, memory, fishery, flowery, and woody. This is the basic of flavor order memory development by wine judges and the milk cheese graders. Individuals vary a great deal in their sensitivity to different odors and aromas. The sense of smell are using our olfactory organs, so containing the olfactory receptors and supporting the epithelial cells, the cover parts of nasal cavity and the portion of the nasal of the nasal septum. The olfactory receptors is chemoreceptors respond to chemicals dissolved in liquids. So olfactory epithelium located on the roof of the nasal cavity contained olfactory receptor cells with the columnar supporting cells covered by mucus to trap airborne molecules. So in this slide, you can see how the olfaction is looks like. For example, when we are getting smell through the nasal cavity, is going to the olfactory epithelium, and after that olfactory bounce and tract, and after that, with the help of our mind, we can determine the odor of this product, for example. In this slide, you can see in detail the olfaction, and here you can see how it is looks like, and you see that it is very complicated organ. Here, the large of the number of vector receptors enable detection of more odors than taste, a greater variety of odors, and odors as much lower concentration. In order for order to register, substances need to be volatile enough to get into the air. The sensory region substances need to be partially soluble in mucus covering of receptors. Minimum number of the odorous molecules need to be present and need to be in the contact with receptors for minimum time. So olfactory intensity, the human nose is about 10 and up to 100 times more sensitive to odor than any physical chemical analysis. For example, the gas chromatography. It has been demonstrated that the human nose is capable to determining ethyl, and the concentration is of 0.01 milligrams in the air, and you just can imagine, and which is equivalent to about 1 molecular receptors. Here on the olfactory threshold detection, threshold is concentration where smells is detected. So the concentration where the smell is recognized, the smell is a major component of the food flow flavor. The human nose is much more sensitive than the analytical instruments. Food contains numerous compounds of varying the variety that can make analytical interruption difficult. And the smell measure perception is a mixture, analytical testing does not. So here on this slide, you can see firstly in the 19th century, the scientist Henning was attempted to classify smells using the 6 general categories: the flavoring, putrid, fruity, spicy, burnt, and resinous. So it means that he thought that the people can only determine only the 6 basic smells. For example, here you can see the translation of this. For example, the flowery, да, цветочный, этилкарбонил, это химическое соединение, и знакомый нам пример это роза или лаванда. So the same, the Schiffman, she was also the scientist, and during based, she made the also classifying smells by the mathematical sense. She has divided in the pleasant and the unpleasant, pleasant and unpleasant smells. So here for the last third lecture, it is the end. Thank you very much. I hope this lecture was interesting for you, and we can see in the other lectures. So I think I can finish now, and after that, all this lecture you can see on the YouTube channel of the Almaty Technological University.